What's up, guys? Today, I talk about a story called Uncle Henry. That's right, it's one of my favorite stories of all time, and I cannot wait to share. It's about Uncle Henry, who, in the 1920s, rural Texas, saves his siblings from attempted kidnapping. Guys, I'm telling you right now, this story is crazy. It's our second story of the day, but first, we're going to take a look at another story. So stick around for the Henry story, and let's discuss it in the comments. I hope you're all having a great day. Let's get right to it. I'm 20 years old, and Fim was adopted when I was 16 by my half-brother and his wife, who were in their late 30s at the time. They already had 6 children when they adopted me, but it was never an issue. They've treated me like their own kid since they met me and later adopted me, so all their kids treated me good. Except for one, their golden child, who is only 4 months older than me. We'll call him Chad. Chad has always been an insensitive a-hole to literally everyone, including our other siblings. He would literally fistfight our older sister, say horrible and mean things to everyone and get away with it. He also had extreme anger issues that would case broken doors or holes in the wall. He also got to do everything me and my sister were never able to do. Got a car for free, go out at night, etc. When we were still in school together during high school, he got up in front of our whole class and told everyone I wasn't his sister and never would be. He then told me in front of his friends that I would never be a part of his family, and I should just get over it, and walked off. This was not a one-and-done thing. He would keep doing this up until he moved out, and I stopped seeing or talking to him. Golden Boy once again got the limelight of the family after he got married right out of high school. He moved out to his wife's family home, and then had a baby, the first grandbaby. Since this has happened, I've stayed as far away from him as possible, only seeing him for the family pictures every year because our mother asked. Recently, I decided to come forward to our mom about what he said and did, because, well, she was upset about how I was distancing myself from him. She basically pulled the quote, "That's still my kid and it's my first grandbaby" card, as the reason she wasn't going to be upset over it. I didn't really care, to be honest. I knew it wasn't going to change her mind on her kid, anyways. Out of nowhere, I got a message begging me to come babysit for them because, quote, "You're the only one who can deal with these kinds of babies, because no one will help." Apparently, they are weaning their kid off of breastfeeding, and the baby's extremely clingy because of that. And the fact that mom is a germ phobia who has basically isolated this kid since birth. It literally has only been held by like 6 people since it's been born. They know I don't sleep for the most part because I'm an insomniac with ADHD, and I also am not bothered by crying. For some reason, I can sit for hours with the baby crying and it just doesn't bother me. I can't tell if that's a blessing or a curse at this point. My sister is mad at me because, apparently, they haven't asked anyone else in the family for help, but me. And everyone wants to go see this baby. Am I the a-hole for not wanting to be around or take care of the baby? Because its father said that I'm not part of his family. Hey guys, Mr. Reddito here. So, drop your comments down below what you think is about to happen. Do you think that they're going to say that OP is the a-hole? Let me know. There's a complete update and it's going to happen right now. So, it's been a hot minute since I last updated on this whole Chad situation. It's mainly due to the surprising fact that my family, my mother and sister are not bugging me as much lately. The first day or two after the interaction with Chad was a bit hectic. Both of them were blowing up my phone, trying to get me to talk to them. Mostly my mom just making excuses for Chad, and my sister trying to basically just tell me to get over it. I ended up telling the both of them in text and over the phone that I was over it, and I would be cutting myself off completely from Chad and his little family. This sparked some anger, but my mom soon went quiet, and later my sister. Everything seemed to be going pretty good after that for a while. That was until a week later when my sister showed up unannounced at my apartment, demanding that I, quote, take the blessing of getting to be around Chad's sheltered child, when no one else seemed to be able to. Basically acting like I was some huge honor that I was asked to babysit. I almost snapped. I wanted to call her a jerk and to tell her to get off my property and never to come back because I was just so sick of it. But I didn't. From my doorstep, I told her that if she wanted to see the baby so bad, just go over and see it. It wasn't my issue to deal with, and I slammed the door in her face and watched her leave. Well, it's been radio silent for a while now, until earlier this week. I was scrolling on Instagram when I noticed that my oldest brother, the one that I do get along with super well, and he supported me by cutting Chad off. His girlfriend of 4 years and is the same age as me are now engaged, and posted pictures of the proposal. I noticed the post had been made last week, but no one even told me? Not even my mother? I texted my brother's girlfriend asking her about literally everything that was happening. She was surprised because my mother had said she had told everyone in the family about the wedding. She then told me that they will be holding a family meeting at my parents' house to talk about the wedding plans. I said okay. The meeting was for today around dinner time. I showed up and walked into the house and noticed that a lot of stuff was different decoration-wise. My parents had family photos all arranged around the living room, and a few random frames with multiple small photos in them as well. I noticed they replaced multiple small photos, specifically of me, from the frames, and replaced them with now pictures of Chad and his wife, and my older brother with his girlfriend. What were maybe 6 pictures of me on all the walls? There were now only 2. A baby picture of me and my senior high school photo. That are now sitting in the hallway, not even in the living room. I ignored it, didn't say much. After a while, everyone showed up, except for, of course, Chad, whom my mom pulled the quote, "Oh, he wanted to spend time with his baby," bullcrap. They all started to talk about the quote people's plans of the part, aka people who were going to be the key parts of the wedding cast. I tried my best to listen and take in all what my brother's girlfriend was saying. I noticed by the end of it all, my name was literally never added in any of the main photos. I wasn't mentioned at all for another in the plans. I started to question why I was even here if I wasn't invited or going to be in the main plans at the wedding. I was kind of thinking, quote, why not just send me an invitation? I went home and texted his girlfriend asking about what happened at that little meeting. Apparently, my mother had told her that I would not be involved in any of the wedding stuff, and it wasn't my thing. She called me unfeminine, and that I wouldn't like doing any kind of bridal stuff because I'm not girly. She then said everything was set in stone now. My older sister's going to be a bridesmaid, and my little sister is going to be a flower girl. My little brother will be the ring holder, and my other little brother and Chad will be the groomsmen. And apparently, my mother also told her that because of what happened with Chad, that I shouldn't be sat at the family table, but sitting at the guest table. I'll just be another guest at the wedding. I didn't really say anything back because it hurt so much. It hurt that my mother would say that about me, that I wasn't feminine, and that just because I myself did not do a lot of girly things in my spare time, I wasn't going to be able or enjoy doing something like a wedding or be a bridesmaid. I can't believe she would say that about me. To be honest, I don't know if I'm ever going to go. The wedding is scheduled for the end of the year. It sounds stupid and petty, but this hurt me. It hurt that I'm being outcasted, most likely to do the Chad once again. And as I'm typing this, my sister's texting me about how she's helping plan all the bride stuff. Honestly, I'm going to leave it off at this for now, because, well, I don't know how to even feel, if you know what I mean. I think this entire situation is just toxic, and it seems like OP's family is just using OP basically to babysit. There was one specific comment that I read, and it caught my attention. It states, "Hi, I'm sorry to hear the outcome. It sounds like your family only wanted to use you as a free nanny and did not actually care about your feelings. Your mother has decided that by not accepting this honor, you're not worthy of being part of the family. I think it's probably for the best that you stop reaching out to them and live your own life for a while. If they decide to apologize and treat you like family without any conditions, then you can slowly take it from there. I do not see a positive experience coming from attending the wedding as an outsider." Guys, that's basically exactly how I felt. Let me know if you agree with this comment in the comment section down below. Next up is very exciting for me. It's the Henry story. Let's get right into it, guys. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you're not subscribed yet. My father was born in rural Texas in 1915. He was the youngest of 10 kids, all a year apart, so his oldest sibling, Henry, was about 11 years older than him. My dad's father died in an accident not long after he was born, so Henry became the man of the house at about age 11. When my dad was 9, in 1924, a gang of men came through their small town, kidnapping children to work as slaves, picking cotton about 400 miles away. Apparently, this was not an unusual occurrence at this time. My dad and 2 of his siblings were taken. Henry, who was now 18, came home from working on a cattle drive about a week later and found his mother hysterical about the kidnapping of the 3 children. Being the man of the house at age 18, Henry walked in, strapped on his father's 6 guns, dual holsters, one on each hip, and set out to get his 3 siblings back. He gathered clues about the gang from other townsfolk who also had children stolen. He headed east to where he was pretty certain the kids were taken. He would ride in empty train boxes and even on the roof of moving trains. It took him several weeks, but through talking to the locals along the way, he heard rumors of children abductions. He finally narrowed down to a few cotton farms where he thought the kids were. My dad, who was 9 years old at the time, had tears in his eyes when he told me this part of the story. He and 2 of his brothers, along with about a dozen other kidnapped kids, had been held captive on this cotton ranch for over 2 months. They have given up all hope of ever seeing home or their family again. They were kept locked in a barn and fed scraps and forced to pick cotton in the hot Texas sun. They were beaten if they cried or refused to work. One day, working in the fields, they heard Henry's voice calling their names. They looked up and saw my Uncle Henry walking towards them. They started running towards him, with one of the captors riding up on a horse and starts yelling at Henry. Henry, cold-faced, pulls out one of his gun and shot the man dead. My dad wasn't even sure if the man had a gun. It didn't matter. The gunshot drew a couple more of the ranchers and captors over. Once again, without even thinking, Henry killed them both. My dad ran up and hugged my uncle and he told them, "Let's go home." My dad tells me they rode on the train boxcars all the way back to their little Texas town, along with a couple other kids that were stolen from the town. When they got back to their small farm, my dad said his mom fainted when she saw them. He then said with a tear in his eye, Henry put the 6 guns away and never touched another gun again. There was no law enforcement, no investigation about what had happened, that my uncle murdered 3 men to get his siblings back. It was basically still the Wild West in Texas in the 20s. The boys eventually all joined the Army and Navy, and they all served and survived World War II. My dad did not tell me this story until after Henry died. I'd always known my Uncle Henry as a sweet, soft-spoken, diminutive, about 5'4", maybe 100-pound man, who went on to own a printing shop. I would never have imagined him capable of the feats of this heroic he performed at age 18 just to bring his family back together. I told you guys, I think the world needs more Henrys. Everyone type in the comment section right now, Henry, you're a legend. I was so excited to read you guys that story. My favorite part was the fact that once Henry returned home, he never touched a gun for the rest of his life. Let me know what you guys make of this story, and tell me if you've had any experiences like this from an aunt, uncle, grandma, or something similar from the 1920s or 30s or just far back in time. We still have one more story today. I hope you're all enjoying the content. Don't forget, the best way to support Mr. Reddito is by smashing that like button and subscribing. Here comes today's final story. I'm in college, and my roommate from last year, Meg, whose family is really rich, said she could bring a friend on vacation. It was kind of awkward. I was her third choice, but her family vetoed the first two because, well, they did not want her bringing a boy or this other female friend of hers they disliked. Her parents bought my plane ticket and booked the resort, which I was very grateful for, and I saved up a lot of money so I could make sure I buy my own food and activities when I'm there, and treat her to family dinner as a thank you for the ticket. But when the trip started, it was just bad. It was her, me, her mother, her father, two of her father's friends, and her 3 brothers going. On the flight, they all got first class and got me an economy seat. But I didn't say anything because why argue about a free ticket? The first night, they went to a grocery store. It turns out they wanted to cook at the resort kitchen for the whole trip. And by they wanted to cook, it actually turned out that they wanted me and Meg to cook. I wasn't warned about this, but it turns out Meg's family is so traditional that they see cooking as a woman's job. And her mom had just had hand surgery. So, it was me and Meg cooking every meal for 6 men and her mom. And guys, I can't cook well. I know a couple staple meals to feed myself, but since I rarely eat meat, I don't know how to cook it. I'm also okay at cooking for 1 or 2, but have no practice cooking for a group of 9. I screwed it up, undercooked chicken, and overcooked some steak, and her dad was angry with me. I got short with him and told him that if he knew how to do it better, he could pitch in instead of standing around criticizing. But he got furious and said he was on his vacation. I said that I was trying to have a vacation too. Or did they just invite me to be an unpaid domestic servant? Meg's parents and Dad's friend got angry and started yelling at me. The argument escalated, and I sarcastically called myself, quote, the helper. His dad snapped at me and told me to get out of their suite and go home. Did not say crap about how he expected me to do that. I left and called the airline with my ticket and asked them if they could do anything to prevent anyone else from modifying or canceling it. They let me set a passcode, and no changes could be made to the flight without it. Then I went to the resort desk to ask about rooms, saying I was stranded unexpectedly. They actually did have some affordable rooms available because of a weekend discount. So I got housing and still had money left over for touristy stuff. I went sightseeing and relaxed on the beach for 3 days, until Meg's parents ran into me. They were taking a sunset walk and did a double take seeing me on the beach. They said they thought I was going home, and I said I decided to stay. They were so angry because they saw me staying and using the return flight as having deceived them into thinking I could not afford a vacation, and using them for a flight when I could actually afford stuff. Am I the a-hole for staying on that vacation and using the flight home? Oh no, I have to say not the a-hole. This story was so bizarre to me. How do you invite someone on a vacation and just expect them to basically be your nanny, cooking you food and stuff, saying it's only the women's job? I don't know. I just think that's a totally toxic situation, and I'm so glad OP was still able to afford a room and enjoy the vacation. Guys, let me know what you make of this story in the comment section below. That's all the content I have for you today. Don't forget to subscribe so you never miss these stories. And just so you know, sometimes there's an update that comes out later. So the best thing you can do is subscribe. Okay guys, have a wonderful night, and Mr. Reddito will catch you tomorrow.